The Hornets wrapped up a four-game homestand this past weekend with victories over Milwaukee and Atlanta. The team is now headed back on the road for a game Wednesday at Minnesota and Sunday at New York, bookending a home contest Friday against Denver. Head coach James Borrego sits down with the guys to discuss his team's injuries and how it could benefit the team moving forward. This is the Hornets.com Coaches Show.
Welcome to the Hornets.com Coaches Show. I'm Matt Rochinski, being joined now by Chris Kroeger. Chris, the calendar has turned towards December. It is the holiday season. It's great to see. Are you in the holiday spirit right now?
I'm getting there. You know, I'm one of these people. I told Sam Perley of Hornets.com the other day, once we get past Thanksgiving, the Christmas gates are open, okay? Yep. So I'll listen to Christmas music. I know some people go after Halloween. That's too early for me. But once you get past Thanksgiving, I try to get into the full festive spirit, so here we are.
I am Clark W. Griswold. There is no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I started right after Halloween. On November 1st, I put up my first blow-up on the house, man. It's been pretty crazy. But everybody's into it. The Hornets started off this homestand that we're just coming out of really well. 2 big victories. What did you see there?
Well, I think they found their winning formula, and that's been something that's been a bit of a moving target. This team is one of the best offensive teams in the NBA. They come into this week 6th in the NBA in offense at 111.7 points per 100 possessions with their offensive rating. But the defense has got to pick it up too. And when they do, I think we've seen that, and coaches talked about this, they've got the potential to be really, really good. And you look at their net rating, one of the best teams with their offense, less their defense in the NBA. On the year, they've outscored their opponents by 85 points. Yep. Through 23 games so far. So you look at where this Hornets team is, and I think it's very clear that when the defense shows up and they bring an intensity and an urgency, they can hang with any team in the NBA. Heck, even you go back to the last homestand, closing it out with wins over Boston and Indiana, 2 of the better teams in the East. So,
yeah, and then picking up that Milwaukee win was huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when we're talking about the offense clicking and being in that top 10 in efficiency, it's kind of ironic that it's happening right now because Kemba Walker not playing exactly up to the same standard that he set early in the season when he was averaging 30 points.
Yeah, Kemba's shooting near 20% from the three-point line over the last 7 games. He's shooting well under 40% from the field. We're not used to this with Kemba. Now, he's still scoring because he's getting to the free throw line, but even that's been a struggle. You're watching him at the free throw line the last few games, and you can tell he's just stuck in a rut. You know, I talked to Jay Hernandez about this the other day, and I said, Coach, what do you do? You know Kemba as well as anybody. You know him back to his days coming out of UConn, getting him ready for the draft, and he said, it just gets to be a mental thing at a certain point. Every shooter goes through this. And he said you start to think about it so much that maybe you tuck your arm in a little bit and you get up underneath it. And you start to make tweaks because you think it's what you need to do, when in reality you probably don't need to. And he said, for me, what I do with Kemba, I'm going to go out there and distract him a little bit. I'm going to have some chatter with him when he's warming up. I'm going to talk to him, put his mind somewhere else. And I thought you saw that. He missed his first couple free throws the other night. And guess what? He came back and hit 3 straight in the same trip at the free throw line. All nothing but net. They were all swishes. So I think what you can see with this team is, even though Kemba's been dipping a little bit in terms of what he's doing from a shooting standpoint, an efficiency standpoint, how about Jeremy Lamb? Jeremy's playing the best basketball of his career. He's sustained it now. Really, you're looking at about a 2 to 3 week run for Jeremy Lamb. That's as good as any stretch in his entire career. And I think we should just get used to this. This is who Jeremy Lamb is as a player, and it's a great addition for the Hornets.
Well, you know, you talk about Jay Hernandez trying to loosen up Kemba, and even at this level, these guys got to play loose. Jeremy Lamb right now, the thing that I like about him, he's playing confident, and you can tell that he's playing loose out on the court.
Well, and I tell you how you know, right? Because I think his three-point shooting, it's been hot and cold. Jeremy's a good three-point shooter. Never really a great one, but a very good one. And he turned into that last year. He shot a career best from 3 at nearly 37%. But he's attacking. He's getting to the rim. And you look at Jeremy, and he's got this wiry frame to him, and I think sometimes you look at him and think, really, can you finish against that guy? And he does. So often he does, because he's got this sneaky strength to him. And I think where you're seeing him attack teams now is his ability to take it off the bounce, and he's so long, he can hesitate. He'll go from first gear to third gear in a heartbeat, and you look and you think, wow, how did you get to the rim like that? Right. And I think that really throws off defenders. He's got an ability to kind of pull it back and then push it forward, and I think it's been trouble for guys to deal with so far.
And you mentioned him being long and lanky. One thing I'd like to see from Jeremy when he's attacking that rim right now, he's got that ball out there where you can't get to it because his arm is so long and he's just getting to the rim. Great to see him playing with confidence.
Yeah, and his athleticism is always something that I think people have looked at when he came out of UConn with Kemba a year later, and people looked at him and said, man, this guy's got all the tools, right? And he told me recently, when I got drafted and got traded immediately, he was part of the James Harden deal from OKC that sent Harden to Houston, and he went from Houston to OKC, and he was buried on the bench. He played a lot of games in the G League, and he just thought, when's my time going to come? when's my opportunity going to come? And he said he really struggled with confidence. And then after a certain point, he came here to Charlotte and realized, man, I belong in the NBA. And if I put in the work, it's going to lead to results on the court. And I think you're seeing that now with Jeremy Lamb.
When we talk about guys waiting for their time to come, waiting for their opportunity, Frank Kaminsky has gotten his opportunity largely because of injuries early on. Billy had gotten injured early, got a chance to get in the lineup. Now we're dealing with even more injuries with Cody Zeller out, Marvin Williams out. Two of your bigs out at this stretch are not the best. But talk about how Frank's been playing right now.
Oh, Frank's been unbelievable over the last couple of weeks. And, you know, I give him a lot of credit, just like we gave Dwayne Bacon credit, I think, a few weeks ago, of staying ready. And this is, I think, a testament to what this coaching staff has put in place. And we could talk to JB. But when you have a mindset of, hey, I'm going with the hot guy. I'm going to play a guy that's doing what I asked, that's playing consistently out on the court, that I know I can count on from game to game. Then when you're not playing, you're waiting for that moment to come, right? So that was Frank for a little while. It was Cody and Billy in the center rotation through the first month or so of the season. And then Frank, to your point, Billy got hurt. And opportunity presented itself, and Frank said, Coach, put me in, and he's played fantastic. And I think the thing that I love about Frank the most is he's not shooting the three ball particularly well right now. He's hit some big shots at times, but he's competing out there, fighting for 50-50 balls. He's fighting for contested rebounds, and he's holding his own on the defensive end. He's really, I think, showing that urgency out there that I think Coach has asked for, and I think it's a reason why he keeps putting him out on the court. He can trust him right now.
Yeah, and in this 4-game stretch, this string of centers that we've seen the last 2 games out with Rudy Gobert, Anthony Davis, then we come back and we're going to have another tough matchup with Karl Anthony Towns, followed by Jokic on Friday.
Yeah.
There you go, Frank. You got this one taken care of. We're looking forward to it. We'll be right back with Coach Borrego on the Hornets.com Coaches Show.
Hey, Hugo, before we do this job swap, can you show me how this half-court shot thing goes? I'm not the most experienced with basketball. Yeah? Okay, great. Okay. All right, so I bend my knees. Oh, arms up. Oh, I'm glad I didn't ask you to show me how to dunk. How do I get down?
Welcome back to the Hornets.com Coaches Show, being joined now by head coach James Borrego. Coach, welcome back to the show. It's been a week. I wasn't on last week.
You were out.
Took a week off.
It wasn't taking a week off. I had to deal with
Tired
kid issues.
Life happens.
That's true.
Sometimes your daughter gets walking pneumonia, and you just have to deal with it.
Okay,
Right?
we could. All right. You're
All right, I got a
excused.
pass
You're excused.
there. There we go.
All right.
The coach gave me a pass, so we're good to go. Speaking of the last week, just kind of take us through the last 4 games. Obviously, we had this 4-game homestand, started off really well, 2 big wins, followed by 2 losses. Just where are you at right now?
Well, 2 good wins, against two good opponents. The Milwaukee game was a real plus for us. I mean, we played very well, learned a lot about our guys. Our defense really picked up in those first 2 games. The Milwaukee game and then followed up with Atlanta, 2 of our best defensive performances coming off a bad loss in Atlanta. So we responded very well to that loss with 2 good wins. And then Utah, we played against a very good team there, and we went with the same defense, our same coverages. And to their credit, they made shots. Jay Crowder came out, under 30% shooter for the year from 3, hit 6 threes. They signed Korver the night before. They get him in a trade the night before. He comes out and he hits 4 against us. Those 30 points cost us that game from the 3-point line. But I was encouraged by our points in the paint. Our defense and our offense, we were plus 24 for that game in the paint, which is a plus for us. As we go throughout the season, we got to defend the paint and score in the paint. And I think we did that in that game. You just got to give them credit that night. Then New Orleans, New Orleans was a funky game. It was just, we had the injuries, the 2 injuries. Kemba's first injury kind of disrupted our flow and our rhythm. But you got to adjust on the fly. And, our guys tried. I think the effort was there. Obviously, losing Marvin was huge, and not having Cody that game was big. Getting Cody back for tomorrow night is big for us.
I think that's why you look at the NBA. People say it's so hard to win a game in the NBA, and it's the truth. And I think it's also why you can't overreact, right? So you had a day off yesterday. You're able to kind of get back to basics, get a good practice in, but recognize what you just said. Utah had an incredible game. You guys executed your game plan. They just won, and on Sunday some injuries maybe did you in. But you can't overreact to that either. You got to get back to your game plan and try to get back to basics and what Hornets basketball is.
And I think that's what these 2 days have been for us. Taking the day off yesterday, breathing a little bit. Sometimes you don't want to overreact after a game like that. You got to really put it in perspective of what just happened. We had 2 starters out. Our 4 and our 5-man were out. 2 valuable pieces that really anchor our defense and that really create a lot of offense for us as well. And the way teams are playing us now, that 5-man is very valuable for us on the offensive end, and that's Cody. Cody does a tremendous amount, and those things don't show up in a box score, but we missed him the other night. So yesterday, having that day to breathe, get people healthy, really evaluate where we're at health-wise, get Kemba some rest, get Tony some rest, all our guys a breather, and then come back in today and get some work. Really clean up some things, look in some different lineups, especially if if Marvin's going to be out here for a minute. So it was a good couple of days.
With the way the schedule's kind of set up for you guys, playing every other day for basically the last 2 weeks, how important was today just to have that practice and get these guys in here and get them really getting after it? Because we know those in-between days, they're not going to be the hardest practices in the world.
Yeah, those are hard to find. These are hard days to find in the NBA. Once the schedule gets going, find a full day to practice, where you had maybe a day off the night before. So these are valuable because you can build bad habits or lose good habits throughout the season if you don't practice. I don't care what team you are. The best teams I've been around, if you don't practice and emphasize certain habits, you lose those things throughout an NBA season. It just becomes about the game and survival mode and health, and so you can slip. And I think we have in some areas. So today was a good day just to refocus, what we want to get done on the offensive end, on the defensive end, and really execute those things in our practice today.
You talked about Marvin, obviously going down, shoulder strain, so we'll check on him in a week and we'll see where he's at. But you look at what Miles has meant to you as a rookie, averages over 20 minutes per game, and your team stays organized when he's on the court. You have a positive net rating, I believe, when he's on the court. His defense, his number's a little less than Marvin's, but it's very respectable still. What does that say about his game as a rookie, where he's able to come in and contribute, and maybe about the opportunity ahead for him?
Well, he's had great impact on our team, right from the start. We didn't really know what to expect, but the kid's gotten better every day, every game, looks more comfortable. I don't think we take a step back when we put him in the game. I think sometimes we amp up our energy, our defense, our rebounding. So I expect that out of him now. I don't even, flinch. When he goes in the game, you know what you're getting, and he's only getting better. His ceiling is very high. This kid is dynamic, he's strong, he's powerful, he's confident, he can play multiple positions. So, we got a very, very healthy young kid that's going to help us for many years to come.
You also talked after practice about another guy who could step in and help out in this situation. Could be Frank potentially picking up some minutes at the 4. We've seen him really step in at the 5 the last few games after not playing much, and he's handled that very well. How much does that versatility and the way he's playing help you out in this situation?
Well, it's tremendous. Especially the way he can spread the floor. He moves the ball for us. His biggest impact for us is on the offensive end. He can really move teams around, play second side, space the floor, give our guards more attacking angles and space to play out of. So he brings us a lot of versatility. He can play inside as a 4 or 5. He can play on the perimeter as a 5. So, we'll look at him now with Marvin out to see where he fits best for us. But Frank, to his credit, has stayed ready throughout the season. He's made the most of this opportunity right now, and he's holding on to it. He helped us tremendously the other night. When we were going dry, we needed some baskets. He was right there for us.
Let's talk about that for a second, because I was remarking earlier, I think when you look at the ability to be willing to mix up your rotations and go with something when you're trying to find something. You did it the other night. Injury kind of dictated it, but you had 3 point guards on the court at one point. And I think when you're a coach and you're saying, you know what, I'm going to play with the guys that I can depend on and I know I can go to, it creates this dynamic of when your number's called, you better be ready, right? And we've seen it with Dwayne and now with Frank, but I think guys are really buying into that mentality of, when it's my time, and I'm going to step in and I'm going to produce.
Yeah, there's no excuse not to be ready now, because your number could be called any day, any time, any game. We've gone all the way down the line in our rotation. So, and the guys have stepped up. It's created a healthy competition as well for us. Guys know that, hey, if I'm not producing, if I'm not playing well, the next guy could be up. And that's the way we've approached this season. All guys have been held accountable, and I think they're ready, and they've stepped up. And I think that's the depth of our roster. That's where we're at as a team right now. It could be a little inconsistent at times throughout the rotation, especially off the bench. But there's no excuse not to be ready because you can't be called on any single game.
Perhaps the player who's playing the most consistent basketball over the course of the last few games, actually the last 14 if you look at it, Jeremy Lamb has really made an impact. We've talked about him on the show before, but are you surprised at the consistency that he's been able to have?
Well, I'm just happy for him. I think, and I'm really proud of him more than anything. You know, I think he's done a tremendous job. He's not tailed off. He's only gotten better. I think he's progressing. You know, he looks more confident now. So I don't even know if I'm surprised. I just expect this guy to keep going now, keep getting better, which is a credit to him. You know, so tremendously, I'm just very proud of his growth and how he stepped into that role. He's held on to it. And I think every time he touches the ball, good things are happening now. You know, the ball's moving at times. He's penetrating, getting to the rim, into the paint. He's shooting it well from three, getting to the free throw line, defending his position. These are all things that we need as a ball club, and he's producing for us right now.
So talking about where this team is at in terms of depth, obviously, you're going to have an interesting decision to make, and you're still weighing through it, who starts for Marvin. I'm interested, though, in as a coach, how do you weigh the options and the pros and the cons of leaving a guy like MKG maybe in his role as a reserve, where he's been so good for this team, versus elevating him to a starter, or maybe you start a guy like Miles where you're able to plug him in and that leaves Mike in his role off the bench. How do you weigh those decisions as a coaching staff?
That's a great question. I mean, we're weighing all these factors right now. You know, MKG is comfortable starting, even though this would be a different position for him. He's been a starter before. That one looked different. Kemba's used to playing with him as a starter. Cody's used to playing with him as a starter. Nick's used to playing with him as a starter. So he fits in naturally there, but it does disrupt the bench. And I think MKG's been so valuable for us off the bench. You know, brings us an energy, a spark, a defense. So we're gonna have to weigh that out. I think Miles could slide in there as well, which would be new for him, you know, in that starting role. But it's something that we're not opposed to. We're looking at both options. And then Frank's got to stay ready. You know, Frank has played that 4 spot in the past. He's comfortable there. If we need more size against a certain opponent, we could see Frank in that role as well.
Well, obviously some key decisions coming up for head coach James Borrego. As we head to Minnesota, we're going to let him go because we know he's got to get on a plane and get going.
Plane, yeah.
Chris has got to get going.
I'm just going to grab his coattails. That's all I'm doing.
We'll be right
Hopefully
back.
they won't leave us.
We'll be right back on the Hornets.com Coaches Show.
Go Hornets!
Welcome back to the Hornets.com Coaches Show. Here with Chris Kroeger. Chris, you're about to head out on the road, man. I'm going to miss you guys. It's going to be tough. We got to get out.
Send me a coat if you can. We're going to Minneapolis.
I was going to say, hopefully he packed warm. You're ready to go, though. Minnesota at this time in December, perfect place to travel.
Yeah, why not? No, it's going to be great, and I'm looking forward to getting to go see this Minnesota team. By the way, they've been red hot since the Jimmy Butler trade, and I don't know if that's a surprise because they've got talent. Even losing Butler, they added 2 incredible pieces. We've already seen 3 times already. Yep. In 2 times in Dario Saric and Robert Covington. And Covington's one of the best 3-and-D players in the NBA. And Saric is a guy who can get hot in a hurry and pour it in. So they're a good team. They're playing, I think, more consistently now that all that dust is settled, right? You get all the drama out of your building. Now they know what they need to do every night. And I think Karl Anthony Towns has been unleashed a little bit, so he'll be a handful.
You know, we talked earlier about the injury situation. We talked about it with Coach. What do you see as what is going to be the solution for these next couple of games as we try and get guys healthy?
Well, I think it's all hands on deck. I mean, we already know. We talked about it. Coach is willing to go to basically any playing group. He played 3 point guards at the same time on Sunday afternoon against the New Orleans Pelicans because he was looking for something. I just need guys that can go out there and execute. And so, you know, could we see some sort of crazy rotation out there? It's possible. I don't know, but maybe does Frank play power forward again? We've seen him predominantly as a center in this system, but I think basically where you're at with the front court situation is possible. I do know this. I think Miles, who's already shouldering a pretty good load, he's averaging over 20.5 minutes per game as a rookie in that rotational role off the bench. His minutes are going to go up. I would think we see him start for Marvin Williams at power forward, so you keep Mike coming off the bench in that role as really that glue guy for the second unit with Tony Parker. So I'm looking forward to it. And I think the interesting thing is when you dig into some of the numbers, there's not a big drop-off defensively for the Hornets when Miles is on the court versus when Marvin's on the court. And we have a positive net rating when Miles plays. Now, for Marvin, it's higher. It's about 4.4. Our net rating is +2 when Miles is on the court. But that tells me, and I think you see that direct result in minutes per game, that coach believes we play well. The numbers say we play well. We stay organized on both sides of the court when Miles is playing. So I don't expect the wheels to come off. I think Miles is going to step right in. He's very mature and he takes coaching well. I think this could actually be, in the long run, because it's a long season, this could be a blessing in disguise for the Hornets.
Well, Miles has been really more fast-tracked than most rookies we've had here in Charlotte over recent years. He's really getting that extra time. If he gets a chance to step into that starting lineup, how much more does that also benefit him going forward this season?
Oh, no, I think absolutely. And you prepare different as a starter. I think now you're going up against the best guys on the other team every night. So, again, that's where I think I look at Miles. He's got such a maturity about him. I think he could thrive in this role, quite honestly. And you're right. These are the opportunities that, if the Hornets keep this up, and now you're talking about meaningful games in February, March, and April, these are the type of lessons that you put in the deposit bank, and you're going to look back and think, man, I'm glad I got these opportunities. And we should talk about this, right? It seems like the injury bug is bitten a little bit, but the Hornets were the last team to lose a game due to injury this season, with Michael Kidd-Gilchrist and that ankle injury a few weeks ago that he suffered in Detroit. And so this happens. This is not out of the norm in the NBA. Guys get hurt. You play 82 games a year. And so on the whole, I think Joe Sharp and the entire medical staff, which has been revamped here in Charlotte, has done a great job. And it's next man up. You look across the NBA, teams dealing with injuries, they're struggling to win right now. And the teams that are healthy are the ones that are, not surprisingly, I think, taking advantage of that.
Yeah, you're going to have injuries all season long. You're going to have to deal with them. We're going to see how the Hornets deal with them going forward, starting on Wednesday night in Minnesota. Back here on Friday against Denver, a red-hot Denver team in the Western Conference.
Number 1 in the West.
Insane how the way they're playing.
Number 1.
And then we come back out on the road and head to New York. But after that, the Hornets come back for a 5-game homestand, folks. So right now, around the holidays, if you're looking to get out to Spectrum Center, there's going to be some great opportunities to do so. 5-game homestand starting next week here at Spectrum
And
Center.
by the way, next Friday, which will also be against the Knicks, that'll be Muggsy Bogues bobblehead night. Classic night. So.
Muggsy Bogues bobblehead night. Going to be great. Muggsy's going to be in attendance. We're going to honor him as well. Make sure you follow us on social media. Get all that stuff. We've been doing stuff with Muggsy throughout the upcoming weeks. We're going to have all kinds of Muggsy Bogues content on there for all of you Muggsy fans. For Chris Kroeger, for head coach James Borrego, I'm Matt Rochinski with Hornets.com.